I remember lying awake at night, as a young man, feeling so lost, so confused about my purpose. I'd pray and pray, but the heavens seemed silent. I thought God was somewhere far away, somewhere I couldn't reach. Then one day, a teacher said something that changed everything. "Joseph, stop looking up there. Look in here." He pointed to his heart. "The kingdom of God is within you. Christ is your own consciousness, when you use it correctly." At first I thought it was blasphemy. But then I tested it. And my friend, when I tell you everything changed, my health, my relationships, my entire experience of being alive, I mean everything. And if it worked for me, it will work for you. Let me show you how. Now, I know why you're here. You're here because something in your life needs healing. Maybe it's your body. You're tired of the pain, tired of feeling less than whole. Maybe it's your circumstances. The bills keep coming, the job feels like a prison, and you don't see a way out. Maybe it's your heart. You feel alone, unloved, like nobody really sees you. Or maybe it's something deeper. Maybe you feel like you're living half a life. Like there's something magnificent inside you that's never been released. I understand, my friend. I've been there. And I've sat with thousands of people who've been there. Let me tell you what you're really struggling with. You've been taught to look outside yourself for salvation. Outside for healing. Outside for supply. Outside for love. And the world has failed you. Hasn't it? Because the world can't give you what only the inner Christ can give. Here's what's going to happen in the next hour and 20 minutes if you stay with me. First, you're going to understand, really understand, what the inner Christ actually is. Not as religious dogma, but as psychological and spiritual truth. You're going to see that this presence within you is not separate from you, but is the very substance of your consciousness when you use it correctly. Second, I'm going to share with you stories, real stories of real people who discovered this presence and watched their lives transform. You'll see the pattern. You'll see how it works. And you'll begin to believe it can work for you too. Third, I'm going to teach you the principles. How to contact this presence. How to speak to it. How to let it flow through you as healing, as creativity, as abundance, as love. These aren't complicated rituals. A child could do them. But they require understanding, and that's what I'm here to give you. And finally, this is the most important part. You're going to leave here with practices. Specific, simple things you can do today, tonight, tomorrow morning, because wisdom without application is just entertainment. And you didn't come here to be entertained. You came here to be transformed. Now, you might be thinking, I've tried prayer. I've tried positive thinking. Nothing worked. I hear you. But let me ask you something. Did anyone ever teach you the science behind it? Did anyone explain why most prayers fail while others succeed? Did anyone show you the difference between begging some distant God and activating the Christ presence within your own consciousness? That's what makes this teaching different. I'm not giving you empty affirmations. I'm not telling you to just think positive and hope for the best. I'm teaching you the law. The mental and spiritual law that governs how your inner world creates your outer experience. And when you understand the law, you can use it deliberately, scientifically, predictably. See, organized religion has kept you small. It's told you you're a miserable sinner, born in sin, helpless, without external intervention. Psychology has told you you're a product of your past, shaped by childhood trauma, forever limited by your conditioning. And materialist science has told you you're just a body, just chemical reactions, with no real power over your destiny. But they're all wrong, my friend. The truth, the glorious, liberating truth, is that you are an outlet of infinite intelligence, the same power that hung the stars in space, that makes your heart beat, that grows an oak tree from an acorn. That power is your power when you claim it. That's what Christ within means. Not Jesus the man, but Christ the principle. The anointed one. The awakened consciousness. Your consciousness, when you use it as the Creator intended. So here's my promise to you. If you stay with me for the next 75 minutes, if you open your mind and your heart to these ideas, you will never be the same. You'll never look at yourself the same way. You'll never pray the same way. You'll never face a problem the same way. Because you'll know, not believe, not hope, but know, that there is a presence within you that can heal anything, create anything, transform anything. Does that mean your life will be perfect? No. Does it mean you'll never face challenges? Of course not. But it means you'll never face them alone. You'll never face them powerless. Because wherever you go, the inner Christ goes with you. And that changes everything. Let me tell you about Sarah. That wasn't her real name, but her story is real. She came to see me on a Tuesday afternoon. I remember it clearly, because the sun was streaming through my office window, and yet her face was so dark with fear. "Dr. Murphy," she said, "they found a tumor. A large one. They want to operate, but even then, they say," she couldn't finish. Her voice broke. Sarah was 38 years old. A mother of 2 young children. Her whole life ahead of her, or so she thought. Now the doctors were talking about chemotherapy, radiation, maybe months instead of years. She sat across from me, her hands shaking, and said, "I've been praying. I've been praying so hard. But God seems so far away. Why isn't He answering?" I looked at her with all the compassion in my heart and said, "Sarah, God isn't far away. God is closer than your breath. In fact, the very presence of God is within you right now. There's a healing power inside your own consciousness that knows nothing of tumors, nothing of disease. It knows only perfection." She looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "But I'm sick," she said. "The tumor is real. The X-rays prove it." "Yes," I said. "The tumor appears to be real. But let me ask you something. Who's been thinking about that tumor day and night? Who's been seeing it growing, imagining the worst, feeling the fear?" She nodded slowly. "I have," she whispered. "That's what I thought. You see, Sarah, you've been using the creative power of your consciousness to reinforce the very thing you fear. Your mind has been in constant communion with disease instead of health. But here's the beautiful truth. That same power, that same consciousness, can be redirected. There's a presence within you, the inner Christ, that already sees you as whole and perfect. It's there right now, waiting for you to recognize it." I taught her something very simple. Every morning, and every night, she was to lie quietly on her bed, close her eyes, and place her hand on her heart. Not on the area of the tumor, on her heart, the center of her being. And she was to say, "Inner Christ, I acknowledge you now as the only power in my body. There is no power in this condition. Only in you. You are expressing perfect health through every cell right now. I accept my healing. Thank you. But don't I have to visualize the tumor shrinking?" she asked. "That's what I've been trying to do." "No," I said. "When you visualize the healing process, you're acknowledging the disease. You're making it real. Instead, simply know, feel, accept that the inner Christ within you is already perfect. It knows nothing of tumors. It is life itself, and life knows only how to be alive, whole, complete." She looked doubtful. But she was desperate enough to try. For 3 months, Sarah did this practice faithfully, morning and night. Sometimes during the day when fear would grip her, she would stop, place her hand on her heart, and commune with the healing presence within. She stopped fighting the tumor. She stopped seeing herself as sick. Instead, she saw herself as she truly was. A perfect expression of infinite life. The interesting thing was, she told me later, after about 2 weeks, something shifted. The fear began to lift. Not because circumstances had changed. The tumor was still there according to the medical tests. But she began to feel a deep, inexplicable peace. A knowing. As if something inside her was saying, "You're going to be fine. Trust me." When she went back for her follow-up examination, her doctor was puzzled. The tumor had shrunk. Significantly. "Let's wait another month and recheck," he said. A month later, it had shrunk even more. 6 months after our first meeting, Sarah walked into my office, and I barely recognized her. Her face was radiant, her eyes were bright. "Dr. Murphy," she said. "It's gone. Completely gone. My doctor says he's never seen anything like it." He called it spontaneous remission. But you and I know differently, don't we? I said. She smiled, tears running down her cheeks. The inner Christ, she whispered. I found it. I found the healing presence within me. And once I stopped fighting, once I stopped being afraid, once I just trusted it, it did the work. It healed me. You see, my friend, Sarah didn't heal the tumor. She couldn't have. The conscious mind doesn't heal. But when she aligned her consciousness with the inner Christ, the infinite healing presence within her, that presence expressed as perfect health, it dissolved the condition because disease has no power, no reality, in the presence of infinite life. Now, you might think that's just about physical healing. But let me show you how this same presence solves problems you can't touch with your hands. A man came to me, let's call him Robert. His business was failing. Creditors were calling every day. His family was depending on him. His wife looked at him with worry. His children asked questions he couldn't answer. He came into my office, sat down, and put his head in his hands. Dr. Murphy, he said, I've tried everything. I work 16 hours a day. I've cut costs. I've looked for new clients. Nothing works. It's like the universe itself is against me. I listened to the defeat in his voice, the desperation, and I recognized something. Robert, I said, you're trying to be the creator. You're trying to force solutions through worry and struggle. But that's not how it works. He looked up at me, confused. What else can I do? Just give up? No, I said. You stop trying to do it yourself, and you let the creator within you do it through you. There is an infinite intelligence inside your own consciousness right now that knows exactly how to restore your fortune. It knows opportunities you don't know. It knows people you haven't met. It knows solutions that haven't occurred to you. But it can't work through a consciousness that's filled with fear and struggle. He shook his head. I don't understand. Let me explain it this way. Your conscious mind is like the captain of a ship. The captain sets the direction, but he doesn't make the ship move. There's a power in the engine room that does that. In the same way, your conscious mind chooses what to focus on, what to believe, what to accept. But there's a power in your subconscious mind, animated by the inner Christ, that actually creates your circumstances. And right now, you've been programming that power, with thoughts of failure, lack, and limitation. So what do I do? He asked. You turn to the presence within. Every morning before you start your day. Before you look at the bills, or check your phone, you sit quietly and you say, Inner Christ. Infinite intelligence. I don't know how to solve this problem, but you do. I acknowledge you now as my source, my supply, my solution. I trust you completely to express abundance through my life. Then you feel it. Not hope for the future, but trust in the present. You feel the presence within you, going before you, arranging circumstances, opening doors, providing everything you need. But what about the bills? What about the creditors? Those are effects, Robert. Stop focusing on effects. Focus on the cause. The cause is consciousness. Change your consciousness, and the effects must change. It's law. He was skeptical, but he was also out of options. So he agreed to try. Every morning, Robert would sit in his car, before going into his failing office, close his eyes, and commune with the inner Christ within. He stopped trying to figure out how things would work. He stopped forcing. He simply acknowledged the infinite intelligence within him and trusted it to provide. Now, I want you to understand something. This wasn't magic. He still had to work. He still had to make calls, meet with people, run his business. But something changed. Ideas began to come to him. Not forced ideas, but inspiration. He'd be driving and suddenly know he should call a particular person. He'd be in a meeting, and the right words would come. Opportunities appeared that hadn't been there before. Within 2 months, a contract came through that he'd given up on. The client said they decided to go with someone else, but at the last minute, something made them reconsider. Within 4 months, an old debt he'd written off years ago was suddenly repaid, out of the blue. Within 6 months, Robert's business wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. He came back to see me, and the change in him was remarkable. It wasn't just the money, though that had come. It was something deeper. He'd discovered that he wasn't alone. That there was a power within him that would never fail him as long as he trusted it. "Dr. Murphy," he said, "I used to think success was all about hard work and hustle. Now I know it's about alignment. When I align with the inner Christ, everything flows." "That's exactly right," I said. "You're not the creator? You're the channel. The inner Christ is the creator, and it creates through you when you get your fearful, worried, limited thinking out of the way. But healing and supply, these are the easier demonstrations to understand. Let me share something more subtle, more beautiful. A young woman once sat across from me, tears streaming down her face. "Dr. Murphy," she said, "I'm so lonely I could die. I'm 32 years old, and I've never had a real relationship. Every man I meet either uses me, or leaves me. I'm starting to think there's something fundamentally wrong with me. Why doesn't anyone love me?" My heart went out to her. I could feel her pain, her loneliness, her deep belief that she was somehow unlovable. And I knew that belief was creating her reality. I said to her gently, "You're looking for love outside because you don't know the love within." She looked at me with confusion, and a bit of anger. "That's not helpful, Dr. Murphy. I can't hold myself at night. I can't have a conversation with myself. I need a real person to love me." "I understand," I said. "But let me explain something to you. Love isn't something you get from someone else. Love is what you are. The very essence of the inner Christ is love. Infinite, unconditional, eternal love. And that love is within you right now. But you can't give what you don't know you have. And you can't attract what you don't embody. You're saying it's my fault I'm alone?" Her voice broke. "No, dear. I'm saying you've been taught to seek outside what's already inside. And in that seeking, you become desperate, needy. You look for someone to fill a void. But other people can feel that. They can sense you're not looking for them, you're looking for salvation. And that pushes love away. So what do?" she whispered. "You turn within. Every morning, you sit quietly, and you commune with the inner Christ as pure love. You feel that presence within you that is love itself. Not romantic love, not needy love, but the love that created the universe. The love that breathes life into every living thing. And you realize that's what you are. You are that love in expression." "But that doesn't give me a person," she protested. "Watch what happens," I said, "when you know yourself as love. When you stop seeking and start being. When you're full inside, you don't need someone to complete you. You're already complete. And that completeness, that wholeness, that love radiating from you, that's what attracts real love. Not desperate love, not codependent love, but the kind of love you've always dreamed of." She looked doubtful, but something in my words must have touched her, because she agreed to try. Every morning, she would sit quietly, place her hand on her heart, and say, "Inner Christ, I feel your love flowing through me now. I am love. I am loved. I am lovable. Not because of what I do or how I look, but because love is my very nature." At first, she told me later, it felt fake, ridiculous even. How could sitting alone telling herself she was love actually change anything? But I'd told her to persist, to do it for 30 days without judging the results. So she did, and something began to shift. Not externally at first, but internally. She began to feel differently about herself. Less desperate. Less needy. She started enjoying her own company. She took herself to dinner, to movies, on walks. Not sadly, not as a poor substitute for companionship, but joyfully, because she was communing with the love within her, and that was enough. Then the external began to change. A neighbor she'd barely noticed started conversations with her. A friend invited her to a gathering she'd normally decline. She said yes. At that gathering, she met someone. Not through desperate seeking, not through trying. Just naturally, easily, like two streams flowing together. 6 months later, she came to see me with a gentle man beside her. "This is David," she said, her face glowing. "And Dr. Murphy. It's different this time. I'm not afraid. I'm not trying to hold on. I'm just loving and being loved, and it feels so natural. So right. That's because," I said. You're not looking for him to fill you. You're already full. You discovered the love within, and now you have love to give. That's the secret. You can only give what you have. And what you give, you receive back multiplied. The inner Christ as love. It's not just an idea, my friend, it's a living presence. And when you know it, really know it, your whole experience of relationships transforms. Now, not all healing is physical. Sometimes the deepest wounds are in the soul. Let me tell you about a man who came to me, consumed by grief. His son had died. A young man, only 19, killed in a car accident. This father sat in my office, his eyes empty, his voice flat. Where was God? Dr. Murphy. Where was God when my boy needed him? Where was this Christ within when my son was dying on that road? I had no easy answers. I never do in the face of such pain. But I sat with him in his grief. And after a long silence, I said, the inner Christ doesn't prevent all sorrow. We live in a world where accidents happen, where bodies fail, where people make mistakes that harm others. Free will exists. Chance exists. The inner Christ isn't a force field protecting us from all harm. Then what good is it? He said bitterly. It's the presence that sustains you through the harm. It's the eternal part of you and your son that can never die. It's the love that connects you still, even though his body is gone. He looked at me with such pain. How can I go on? How can I live in a world without my boy? By remembering who you really are, and who he really is. The inner Christ is eternal consciousness. Your son's body is gone, but his consciousness, his essence, that which loved you and was loved by you, that hasn't gone anywhere, it's transformed. And it's still connected to you through the infinite consciousness you both share. That sounds like wishful thinking, he said. Perhaps. Or perhaps it's the deepest truth there is. Let me teach you something. Every night before you sleep, sit quietly. Don't try to stop the grief. Feel it. Let it move through you. But then, in the midst of that grief, turn to the inner Christ within you. Feel the eternal presence. And speak to your son's consciousness, not to his body, but to the eternal part of him. Tell him you love him. Tell him what's in your heart. And then be still and feel. You may be surprised what you sense. He was reluctant, angry even. But over the weeks and months, he began to try. And slowly, something shifted. He told me later that one night, as he sat in that communion with the inner Christ, speaking to his son's eternal consciousness, he felt a peace wash over him. Not the absence of grief, but a peace within the grief. And he sensed, not with his ears, but with something deeper, a message. Not words, but a knowing. Dad, I'm okay, I love you. Keep living. Keep loving. Was it real? Was it imagination? Does it matter? That father found peace. He found the strength to go on. He started a foundation in his son's name that helped other grieving families. His son's love continued to flow through him into the world. The inner Christ didn't prevent the tragedy, but it transformed it. It brought meaning from meaninglessness, life from death, love from loss. That's the presence I'm talking about, my friend. It doesn't promise you a life without pain. But it promises you're never alone in your pain. And it can transform even your darkest moments into something meaningful, something eternal. Let me tell you one more story. Before we move into the deeper teaching, an artist came to me, a woman who painted. She sat in my office, staring at her hands, and said, Dr. Murphy, it's gone. My gift is gone. I sit in front of the canvas, and nothing comes. It's been 6 months. I'm terrified I'll never create again. I could feel her desperation. For an artist, creativity isn't just a hobby. It's their breath, their heartbeat, their reason for being. Tell me, I said, what do you think creativity is? She looked up. I don't know. Talent? Inspiration? A gift? No, I said gently. Those are just words we use. Creativity is the inner Christ expressing through you. Every painting you've ever made. Every stroke of genius. Every moment of inspiration. That wasn't you. That was infinite intelligence flowing through you as beauty, as art, as creation. But I felt like it was me, she said. It was my vision, my style. Of course it felt like you. Because you are the channel. But you're not the source. The source is the creative presence within you. And here's what happened. Somewhere along the way, you started believing the creativity was yours. You started trying to create from your limited human mind instead of allowing the inner Christ to create through you. And the more you tried, the more blocked you became. She sat quietly, taking this in. So how do I get it back? You don't get it back. You recognize it was never gone. The inner Christ within you is infinite creativity. It never stops creating. But it can only flow through a consciousness that's open, receptive, trusting. Here's what I want you to do. Before you paint, don't pick up the brush. Sit quietly. Place your hand on your heart. And say, Inner Christ, I am not the creator. You are. Create through me now. I am your willing channel. Then pick up the brush, and paint whatever comes. Don't judge it. Don't critique it. Just allow. That's it? She asked. That's it. You stop trying to create. You allow creation to flow through you. There's a world of difference. She went home and tried it. For 3 days, nothing. Just frustration and doubt. But on the 4th day, as she sat quietly communing with the creative presence within, something released. She picked up her brush, and it moved across the canvas, like it had a life of its own. Colors, she hadn't planned. Strokes, she hadn't thought of. She painted for hours, lost in the flow. When she stepped back, and looked at what she'd created, tears ran down her face. It was beautiful. More beautiful than anything she'd painted in years. And she knew, absolutely knew, she hadn't done it. Something had flowed through her, the inner Christ. Infinite creativity, expressing his art through a willing human channel. She came back to me a month later with photos of her new work. Dr. Murphy, she said, everything's changed. I'm not an artist anymore. I'm an outlet for the artist. The inner Christ is the creator, and I just show up and let it use my hands. And the work that's coming through, she shook her head in wonder. I could never have created this on my own. Exactly, I said. None of us create anything on our own. We're all channels. Some of us know it. Some of us don't. But once you know it, once you consciously cooperate with the infinite intelligence within you, what flows through you is beyond your wildest imagination. Do you see the pattern in these stories? In every case, these people stopped trying to do it themselves. They stopped struggling. They stopped forcing. They turned to the inner Christ, the infinite presence within their own consciousness, and they let it work through them. Sarah let it heal. Robert let it provide. The lonely woman let it love. The grieving father let it comfort. The artist let it create. And in every case, what happened was beyond what their limited human minds could have accomplished. That's the secret, my friend. You're not meant to live this life alone, in your own limited strength. You're meant to be an outlet, a channel, for infinite intelligence to express through you as whatever you need. Health, supply, love, peace, creativity, guidance. It's all available. It's all within you right now. You just have to learn how to access it. Now that you've heard the stories, let's understand the principle behind them. What is this inner Christ really? Because if you don't understand what it is, you can't use it consciously. And conscious use is what creates consistent results. First, let me tell you what it's not. It's not a little Jesus sitting in your heart. It's not something you have to be worthy of, or good enough for. It's not a religious concept that requires church membership or belief in certain doctrines. And it's most definitely not separate from you, something out there, or up there, that you have to reach for. So what is it? The inner Christ is your own consciousness when you use it in harmony with infinite intelligence. It's the presence of God individualized as you. It's not something you acquire, or achieve. It's something you recognize. It's already there. It's always been there. It's been keeping your heart beating, growing your hair, healing your cuts, digesting your food, all without any conscious effort from you. That's the inner Christ at work. That's infinite intelligence, expressing through your body and your life. The Bible understood this. Paul said, Christ in you, the hope of glory, not Christ in heaven, Not Christ 2,000 years ago. Christ in you. Now. Always. Your consciousness, when it's aligned with the infinite. Jesus taught it too. The kingdom of God is within you. He kept trying to point people inward, but they kept looking outward. They wanted a king on a throne. He was trying to show them the throne was in their own consciousness. Let me explain this psychologically, because that might help you understand. You have a conscious mind. That's the part of you that thinks, decides, chooses. It's like a gardener. Then you have a subconscious mind. That's the part of you that executes, creates, manifests. It's like a garden. The gardener plants seeds in the garden, and the garden grows whatever seeds are planted. It doesn't judge. It doesn't question, it just grows. The inner Christ is the life force flowing through both. It's the power that makes the seeds grow. It's infinite intelligence animating your consciousness, giving it creative power. When your conscious mind, the gardener, plants, thoughts, and beliefs aligned with this infinite intelligence, the subconscious mind, powered by the inner Christ, brings them into form in your experience. That's how creation works. That's the science behind it. Why does this matter? Because it means you're not trying to reach some distant God. You're not begging for favors. You're not hoping some external power might, if you're good enough, grant your request. No. You're recognizing that the creative power of the universe lives in you. You're learning to consciously cooperate with it. You're taking your rightful place, not as a victim of circumstances, but as a creator of experiences. Let me be very clear about this. This isn't arrogance. This isn't ego. The ego is the part of you that thinks it's separate, that it has to do everything itself, that it's small and limited. The recognition of the inner Christ is the exact opposite. It's humility. It's recognizing you're not the power. You're the outlet for the power. You're not God, but God is expressing as you. That's a profound difference. When you understand this, everything changes. You stop feeling powerless. You stop being a victim. You stop waiting for someone to save you. Because you realize the Savior, the healer, the provider, is already within you. It's your own consciousness, aligned with infinite intelligence. That's the inner Christ. But understanding what it is, isn't enough. You need to know how to contact it, how to commune with it, how to let it flow through you deliberately and consciously. So let me teach you exactly how to do that. The most important question is this. How do you actually commune with the inner Christ? How do you contact this presence within you? Because knowing about it and experiencing it are two different things. The preparation is simple but important. Find a place where you can be quiet for a few minutes. Not silent, because the world is noisy, but a place where you can turn your attention inward, without constant interruption. Sit comfortably. Feet flat on the floor. Hands relaxed in your lap, or on your knees. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Not to empty your mind, that's impossible and unnecessary. Just to release the tension, to let your body relax. Because tension blocks the flow. Relaxation opens the channel. Now comes the recognition. This is the most important part. You don't have to reach for something far away. You don't have to work up some special feeling. You simply acknowledge what's already true. Say, either aloud or silently in your mind, there is an infinite intelligence within me now. Or, inner Christ, I recognize your presence. Or, divine intelligence, I acknowledge you. Use whatever words feel natural to you. There's no magic formula. The words aren't what matters. What matters is the recognition. You're not calling something into being. You're recognizing what already is. Just like turning on a light. The electricity was always there in the wiring. The switch just completes the circuit. Your recognition completes the circuit between your conscious awareness and the infinite intelligence within you. Now comes the communion. This is where most people make it too complicated. Speak to the inner Christ, as you would speak to a trusted friend, a wise counselor, a loving parent, simple, direct, from the heart. You don't need formal prayer language. You don't need to sound religious. Just talk. Inner Christ, I need help with this situation. Or, infinite intelligence, guide me. show me what to do. Or, healing presence, restore my body to perfect health. Whatever you need, ask for it. But here's the key. Don't beg, don't plead. Don't approach it as if you have to convince some reluctant power to help you. This is your own consciousness we're talking about. The inner Christ isn't withholding from you. It's waiting for your recognition and your acceptance. So speak with confidence, with trust, with knowing that you're talking to a power that loves you, that is part of you, that wants to express through you. After you speak, be still. This is the listening part. You're not waiting for a voice from heaven. You're not expecting burning bushes. The inner Christ speaks through impressions, through ideas, through a quiet knowing. As you sit in that stillness, pay attention to what arises. Maybe it's a thought. Maybe it's a feeling. Maybe it's a memory of something someone said. Maybe it's an urge to call someone or go somewhere. Trust it. The first impression is usually the right one. Don't second guess it. Don't analyze it to death. Just trust it. Let me give you some specific ways to do this for different situations. If you need healing, say, Inner Christ, express perfection through this body. I release all belief in sickness. You are life itself, and life knows only wholeness. Then feel, really feel, as if health is flowing through you right now. Not hope for future healing. Present recognition of the healing presence. If you need guidance, say, Inner Christ, I don't know what to do, but you do. Show me the way. Make it clear. Then watch over the next hours and days for the answer. It will come through ideas, opportunities, other people, circumstances falling into place. The universe conspires to guide you when you ask. If you need supply, say, Inner Christ, you are my infinite source. I trust you to provide everything I need. Then let go of worry about how it will come. That's not your concern. Your concern is maintaining the consciousness of abundance, of trust, of knowing you're provided for. If you need peace, say, Inner Christ, be my peace now. Still my mind. Calm my heart. Then simply rest in that stillness. Don't try to make peace happen. Just allow the presence to be what it is. Peace. Now let me tell you the common mistakes people make. The first is trying too hard. Effort actually blocks the flow. The inner Christ doesn't respond to struggle. It responds to recognition and acceptance. Think of it like trying to float in water. If you struggle and thrash, you sink. If you relax and trust, you float. Same principle here. The second mistake is looking for dramatic experiences. Some people do have profound mystical moments. But most of the time, communion with the inner Christ is gentle, quiet, subtle. Don't discount it because it doesn't feel earth-shattering. The results will be earth-shattering. The experience may be gentle. The third mistake is doubting immediately after asking. You pray, you ask, you commune, and then the moment you open your eyes, you think, did that work? Will it happen? What if it doesn't? That doubt cancels your prayer. It's like planting a seed, and then digging it up every day, to see if it's growing. Leave it alone. Trust it. Know that the inner Christ has received your request, and is already working to bring it into form. The fourth mistake is treating the inner Christ as separate from you. You are the temple. You're not outside the temple looking in. You're not down here, and God is up there. The kingdom is within. The Christ is your own consciousness. You're not communing with something separate. You're aligning different aspects of yourself. Your conscious mind is aligning with your divine nature. That's all. Here's the key principle that ties it all together. The inner Christ responds to your recognition of it, not to your worthiness, not to your perfection, not to how good you've been, or how many prayers you've said, just to your recognition and your acceptance. It's like the Sunday the sun shines on everyone. The person who opens their curtains receives the light. The person who keeps them closed stays in darkness. The sun doesn't judge who deserves light. It just shines. The inner Christ is the same. It flows to everyone, but it can only flow through a consciousness that recognizes and accepts it. That's why faith is so important. Not blind faith, not faith as believing impossible things, but faith as recognition of what already is. You have faith that, when you flip the switch, the light will come on. Not because you're worthy of electricity, but because you know how it works. Have that same faith in the inner Christ. When you recognize it, when you commune with it, when you trust it, it flows. It works. It must, because it's law. Now, once you've contacted this presence, you need to understand how it creates. How does the invisible become visible? How does your communion with the inner Christ translate into actual changes in your life? This is where most teachings fail. They tell you to pray, or think positive, but they don't explain the process. So let me make it crystal clear. Everything you see in the physical world was first invisible. Your house was first an idea in an architect's mind. Your clothes were first a design. Your car was first a blueprint. Everything visible came from the invisible realm of consciousness first. That's a fundamental truth. The invisible always precedes the visible. Consciousness always precedes form. The inner Christ operates in consciousness, in the invisible realm. Your outer world, your body, your circumstances, your relationships, these are reflections of your inner world. Their effects. Consciousness is the cause. This is law. This isn't wishful thinking. This is how reality works. Change the cause, and the effect must change. It has no choice. Let me walk you through the creative process step by step, so you understand exactly how this works. Step 1. The desire arises. You want something, health, supply, love, guidance, whatever it is. Where does that desire come from? It comes from the inner Christ knocking on the door of your consciousness. The desire itself is the first sign that fulfillment is possible. God doesn't give you a desire for something that's impossible for you to have. The desire and the means to fulfill it arise together. Step 2. You accept it in consciousness. This is crucial. Most people stay stuck in wanting. I want health. I want money. I want love. But wanting implies lack. Wanting says I don't have it. Instead, you must move from wanting to accepting. You claim it as real in consciousness now. Not in the future. Now. You say, I accept my health. I accept my abundance. I accept my guidance. You feel it as already real. In the invisible realm of consciousness. That's acceptance. Step 3. You feel it as already accomplished. This is where the power is. You don't just say the words. You feel the feeling you would have if it were already true. If you were perfectly healthy, how would you feel? Feel that now. If you were financially secure, how would you feel? Feel that now. If you were guided and certain about your path, how would you feel? Feel that now. That feeling is the creative force. Your subconscious mind responds to feeling, not words. The inner Christ manifests what you feel as real. Step 4. You maintain that feeling despite appearances. This is the test. The physical world doesn't change instantly. There's a time lag between the change in consciousness and the change in circumstances. During that lag, you must persist. You must continue to feel it as real even though your eyes see the opposite. This is where most people fail. They plant the seed, and then dig it up with doubt. They accept it for a moment, then deny it when they look at their bank account, or their body, or their situation. You must persist. Hold to the inner reality regardless of the outer appearances. The outer will catch up. It must. Step 5. The physical manifestation follows. This is law. As surely as planting a seed in good soil produces a plant, maintaining a consciousness produces a manifestation. The time it takes varies. Some things manifest quickly. Others take longer. It depends on how ingrained the old beliefs were, how much your consciousness needs to shift, how many external circumstances need to align. But, if you persist in the consciousness, the manifestation is inevitable. Why do most people fail? Because they skip step 3. They want something. They even pray for it. But they don't feel it as real. They hope it will happen. They wish it would happen. But they don't accept it as already accomplished in consciousness. And without that acceptance, without that feeling, the subconscious mind has nothing to work with. The inner Christ can only create through your consciousness what your consciousness accepts as real. Another reason people fail is they abandon step 4. They see the doctor's report, or the bank balance, or the empty house, and they say, "See? It didn't work. Prayer doesn't work." But that's not true. They stopped maintaining the consciousness. They let appearances shake their faith. Remember, appearances are effects. They're the result of old consciousness. You're creating new effects through new consciousness. But you have to give it time to manifest. You have to persist. Let me tell you what the inner Christ's role is in all this. The inner Christ knows the way when you don't. It has access to infinite resources, infinite possibilities, infinite solutions. Your conscious mind is limited. It only knows what it's experienced, what it's learned, what it can see. But the inner Christ, infinite intelligence within you, knows things you don't know. It sees connections you don't see. It can arrange circumstances in ways you can't imagine. Your job is not to figure out how your desire will be fulfilled. That's the fatal mistake so many people make. They accept the thing in consciousness, but then they immediately start trying to figure out how it will happen, and when they can't see how, they doubt. Stop doing that. Your job is to maintain the consciousness. The inner Christ's job is to manifest the form. Trust it to do its job while you do yours. The time element is important to understand. Some manifestations happen quickly. You might pray about something and see results within hours or days. Other manifestations take longer, not because the inner Christ is slow, but because your consciousness needs time to shift. If you've been thinking in terms of poverty for 40 years, shifting to a consciousness of abundance doesn't happen overnight. It's like turning a big ship. It takes time to change direction, but it does change if you persist. Also, sometimes you need to become the person who can receive the thing you want. If you're asking for a loving relationship, but you're still bitter and closed off from past hurts, the inner Christ first has to heal those hurts, open your heart, transform you into someone who can receive and give love. That inner transformation takes time, but it's essential. You must become in consciousness what you want to be in experience. Here's how to work with this principle practically. When you've accepted something in consciousness, don't create and then doubt. Don't pray and then worry. That's like planting and then uprooting. You plant once, then you leave it alone. You water it with faith, with gratitude, with continued recognition of the inner Christ. But you don't keep digging it up to see if it's growing. Persist in the feeling regardless of what you see. If you're treating your body with the consciousness of perfect health, and the symptoms are still there, don't panic. Don't say, "It's not working." The symptoms are the old creation. You're creating the new. But the new needs time to replace the old. Persist. Keep feeling the health. Keep recognizing the perfection of the inner Christ expressing through you. The physical must eventually conform. Thank the inner Christ in advance. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to confirm your belief. When you thank the inner Christ before you see the manifestation, you're declaring that you already have it in consciousness. And what you have in consciousness must manifest in form. So say, "Thank you, inner Christ, for my perfect health. Thank you for my abundant supply. Thank you for guiding me." Say it now, as if it's already done. Because in consciousness, it is. When the manifestation appears, and it will, recognize that the inner Christ did it through you. Don't take personal credit. Don't think your human mind figured it out. No. The infinite intelligence within you arranged it all. That keeps you humble. That keeps you grateful. And that keeps the channel open for more. Understanding this creative process is crucial. But there's something that blocks it in most people, and we need to address it directly. Fear, doubt, and unworthiness. These are the three major blocks that prevent the inner Christ from flowing freely through your consciousness. Let me help you dissolve them. Fear. Fear is faith in reverse. When you fear something, you're using the same creative power, but you're creating what you don't want, instead of what you do want. You're accepting in consciousness the very thing you're afraid of. And since consciousness creates experience, you often manifest the thing you fear. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Fear also acknowledges power to something outside you. When you're afraid of disease, you're saying disease has power over you. When you're afraid of poverty, you're saying money, or the lack of it, has power over you. But there's only one power, the inner Christ. Infinite intelligence within you. Everything else is just an appearance, an effect. It has no inherent power. The antidote to fear is recognition of the only power. When fear arises, and it will because you're human, don't fight it. Don't try to suppress it. Just redirect your attention. Say, there is only one power, and that power is within me. The inner Christ is the only reality. This fear is just a shadow, and shadows have no power. Then turn your attention to the presence within. Feel it. Acknowledge it. Let it fill your consciousness until the fear has no room. Replace what if it goes wrong with the inner Christ handles this. Every time you catch yourself in a fearful thought, pause, breathe, and consciously choose to trust the presence within instead of the fear. This isn't denial. You're not pretending the problem doesn't exist. You're choosing which power you're going to acknowledge. The problem, or the inner Christ. Choose wisely. Doubt. Doubt is natural to the rational mind. Your conscious mind is trained to be skeptical, to need proof, to question. So don't be surprised when doubt arises. Don't fight with yourself about it. Don't feel guilty for doubting. Just don't give doubt your power. When doubt comes, and it will, acknowledge it. Thank you, mind, for trying to protect me. But I'm choosing to trust the inner Christ now. Then redirect your attention back to recognition and acceptance. Feed faith, not by suppressing doubt, but by repeatedly choosing to recognize the presence and power within you. Every time you choose faith over doubt, faith grows stronger. Eventually, faith becomes your default, and doubt becomes just a passing whisper you barely notice. Remember, your conscious mind doubts. It's designed to. But the inner Christ never doubts. It knows. It's infinite intelligence. It can't be confused or uncertain. So you don't have to have perfect faith. You just have to keep turning your attention to the part of you that already knows. The inner Christ within. That's enough. Unworthiness. This is the deepest block for most people. Somewhere along the way, you were taught you're not good enough. Religion might have told you you're a sinner. Parents might have made love conditional on performance. Society might have told you you're only valuable if you're successful, or attractive, or smart. And now, even though you want healing or abundance, or love, somewhere inside you don't believe you deserve it. Let me tell you the truth. The inner Christ doesn't judge worthiness. Infinite intelligence doesn't grade you. God doesn't need you to be perfect before blessing you. Your worthiness was established the moment you were born. Actually, before you were born. You exist. That's your worthiness. You're alive. That's your qualification. You didn't earn your heartbeat. You didn't deserve the air in your lungs. You didn't become worthy of the sun shining on you. These things are given freely because you're alive. In the same way, your good, your healing, your abundance, your love. These aren't things you earn. They're things you accept. The inner Christ gives them freely to all who recognize and accept them. The story of the prodigal son illustrates this beautifully. The son left home. He wasted his inheritance. He lived recklessly. By all accounts, he should have been rejected. But when he came home, dirty and ashamed, his father ran to him. Didn't wait for him to clean up first. Didn't make him prove he'd changed. Just embraced him and celebrated. That's how the inner Christ relates to you. You don't have to clean up first. You don't have to become perfect. You just have to turn toward home, toward the presence within, and it embraces you immediately. Your past doesn't disqualify you. Your mistake don't disqualify you. Your imperfections don't disqualify you. Only your present consciousness matters. And in this moment, right now, you can choose to accept your divine inheritance. You can choose to recognize the inner Christ within you. And in that recognition, you're worthy. Not because you've earned it, but because it's your nature. Here's how to practically dissolve these blocks. When fear arises, say, "Inner Christ, be my courage." Feel the presence as a force stronger than any fear. When doubt appears, say, Inner Christ, strengthen my knowing. Trust that the infinite intelligence within you knows, even when your conscious mind doubts. When unworthiness whispers, say, Inner Christ, I accept my divine inheritance. I am worthy because I am alive. Because I am an expression of you. Each time you choose the Christ over the block, you weaken the block. Each time you redirect from fear to faith, from doubt to knowing, from unworthiness to acceptance, you create new neural pathways. You reprogram your consciousness. Over time, it becomes easier. The blocks lose their grip, and the flow of the inner Christ through you becomes more consistent, more natural, more powerful. This is crucial, my friend. The greatest power in the universe lives in you. It wants to express through you. It's always ready, always willing, always available, but it can only flow through a consciousness that allows it. Your fears, doubts, and feelings of unworthiness aren't sins. They're not permanent. They're just habits of thought that can be changed. And every time you choose to recognize the inner Christ instead of the block, you change them a little more. Your job isn't perfection. Your job is permission. Let the inner Christ be the Christ. Stop blocking it with false beliefs. Open the channel, and let it flow. That's all. Now let's talk about the most important application of this teaching. The inner Christ as healer. Your body, my friend, is not your enemy. It's not a prison. It's not inherently flawed, or prone to disease. Your body is a faithful servant of consciousness. It responds to the thoughts and beliefs you hold. It reflects the habitual patterns of your mind. And most important, it's designed to be the temple of the inner Christ, the vehicle through which infinite intelligence expresses in this physical world. Understanding healing begins with understanding disease. Disease is dis-ease. It's a lack of ease. A state of discord. First in consciousness, then in the body. Something is out of alignment. Something is in conflict. Maybe it's fear, stress, resentment, grief, or just false beliefs about the body and aging. These states of consciousness create tension, and tension over time manifests as disease. But here's the magnificent truth. The inner Christ knows only perfection. Infinite intelligence doesn't know anything about disease. It doesn't recognize tumors, or arthritis, or heart problems. It only knows life. And life knows only how to be alive, whole, vibrant, healthy, complete. That's the natural state. That's what the inner Christ would express through you if you let it. Healing, then, is not about fighting disease. Fighting gives the disease reality, gives it power. Healing is about allowing the perfection of the inner Christ to express. It's about removing the blocks in consciousness, and letting infinite intelligence restore the body to its natural state of wholeness. How do you heal with the inner Christ? First, don't fight the disease. Don't make it your enemy. Don't constantly think about it. Talk about it, research it. Every time you focus on the disease, you're reinforcing it in consciousness. You're making it more real. Instead, withdraw your attention from it. Refuse to give it power. Second, don't visualize the healing process. Many people try to imagine their tumor shrinking, or their bones mending, or their organs healing. But when you visualize the process, you're acknowledging the disease. You're seeing it in your mind and then trying to see it go away. That prolongs it. It keeps it in consciousness. Instead, recognize perfection now. Not future healing. Present perfection. The inner Christ within you is perfect right now. Your true nature, your divine blueprint, is perfect right now. Simply acknowledge that. Feel it. Accept it. Say, this body is the temple of the inner Christ. Every cell is an expression of divine perfection. The healing presence within me now restores all function. I accept my wholeness now. You're not hoping it will be healed. You're not visualizing the process. You're recognizing the truth that already is. In infinite intelligence, your body is perfect. In the consciousness of the inner Christ, there is no disease. You're aligning your conscious awareness with that higher truth. Feel the inner Christ flowing through every cell as life. Not as a metaphor. Actually feel it. Place your hand on your heart, or on the area that needs healing. Feel warmth, energy, presence. Feel it as love, as intelligence, as perfection flowing through your entire being. This isn't imagination. This is recognition of what's actually happening. The same intelligence that created your body is maintaining it right now. You're just becoming consciously aware of it. Why do some healings seem gradual? Because consciousness sometimes needs time to accept perfection. If you've believed in sickness for years, shifting to a consciousness of health doesn't always happen instantly. Old beliefs dissolve layer by layer. Old patterns release gradually. But here's what's important. The physical body responds as fast as consciousness changes. The moment you truly accept perfection in consciousness, the body begins to conform. It might take hours or days or weeks for the physical to catch up, but it will persist in recognition, regardless of symptoms. This is crucial. The symptoms are the old creation. You're creating the new. But the new needs time to fully replace the old. If you're treating your body with the consciousness of perfect health, and the symptoms are still there tomorrow, don't panic. Don't lose faith. Keep recognizing the perfection. Keep communing with the healing presence. The symptoms are lagging indicators. Consciousness is the leading indicator. Keep your consciousness right, and the body will follow. Now, some people ask about medical treatment. Should I see a doctor if I'm practicing spiritual healing? Absolutely. There's no conflict between faith and medicine. The inner Christ works through all channels, including doctors, surgery, medication. God gave us intelligence to develop medical science. Use it. The difference is in your consciousness. You can take the medicine, while also recognizing the inner Christ as the true healer. You can have surgery, while knowing that infinite intelligence is guiding the surgeon's hands. You can follow your doctor's advice, while maintaining the consciousness that the inner Christ is expressing perfection through you. Don't judge yourself for seeking medical help. That's not a failure of faith. That's wisdom. God helps us through many channels, and one of them is medical science. But here's what changes. When you know the inner Christ as your healer, you're not dependent on medicine. You're not giving all your power to the doctor. You're working with the treatment, while knowing that something greater than the treatment is working through it. That changes everything. It removes fear. It brings peace. And it often accelerates healing beyond what medicine alone could accomplish. There's also a deeper level of healing we need to talk about. Sometimes physical symptoms reveal a need for emotional or spiritual healing. The body is wise. Sometimes it forces us to stop, to rest, to pay attention to something we've been ignoring. A stress-related illness might be the inner Christ saying, "You're living wrong. Change something." Chronic pain might be the body expressing emotional pain you've never processed. So, when you're working with healing, ask, what is this condition trying to teach me? Is there unforgiveness I need to release? Is there a lifestyle I need to change? Is there grief I haven't grieved? The inner Christ doesn't just heal symptoms. It brings wholeness. Sometimes, that means addressing deeper issues, not just surface problems. Healing with the inner Christ isn't magic. It's alignment. When your consciousness aligns with the infinite intelligence within you, when you recognize and accept the perfection that already is, when you stop blocking the flow with fear and doubt and false beliefs, the natural state of health expresses. The body returns to ease. That's healing. Now, healing is powerful and important. But the inner Christ creates more than just health. It's also your provider, your source, your infinite supply. Let's talk about abundance. You have a right to abundance. Not because you're special, not because you've earned it, but simply because you're alive. The universe is lavish, extravagant, generous by nature. Look at the stars, countless billions of them. Look at the grains of sand on a beach. Look at the leaves on a tree. Nature doesn't create just enough. It creates abundance, overflow, more than enough. That's the nature of the creative force, and that creative force is the inner Christ within you. Most people have been programmed for lack. From childhood, you heard, money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford it. Money is hard to come by. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. These beliefs sink deep into your subconscious, and then they create your reality. You look for evidence of lack, and you find it everywhere because that's what you expect to find. Even worse, religion often taught that poverty is spiritual and wealth is sinful. That money is the root of all evil. Actually, the Bible says, the love of money is a root of evil, not money itself. Money is just energy. It's a tool. It's neither good nor bad. It's what you do with it that matters. And there's nothing spiritual about being broke. How can you help others if you're struggling yourself? How can you be generous if you have nothing to give? The inner Christ is infinite supply. Not limited supply. Not just enough supply. Infinite. There is no lack in God. There is no limitation in infinite intelligence. And since the inner Christ is your consciousness, aligned with that intelligence, there is no limitation to what can flow through you as supply. But here's what you have to understand. Lack is always a lack of recognition, never a lack of substance. The substance, the energy, the creative power to manifest supply, is always present. Always. It's within you right now as the inner Christ. But it can only flow into your experience through your consciousness. If your consciousness is one of lack, you experience lack. If your consciousness is one of abundance, you experience abundance. Consciousness is the channel. Let me give you a new consciousness of abundance. Say these words with me. The inner Christ is my infinite source. I am an outlet for divine abundance. There is always enough and to spare. Money flows to me easily and abundantly. Everything I need is provided before I even ask. I am prospered in all my ways. How does supply manifest? Not always where you expect it. That's important to understand. You might be praying for a raise, and instead you get a better job offer. You might be hoping for one source of income, and 3 others open up. The inner Christ has a million channels. Infinite intelligence knows ways to prosper you that you've never even thought of. Your job is not to limit it to the channels you can see. Your job is to maintain the consciousness of abundance and let it surprise you with the how. Let me give you some practical applications. Before a bill arrives in the mail, say, the inner Christ provides. Don't wait until you're stressed about the bill. Claim the supply before the need even presents itself. When opportunity knocks, when someone offers you something, when money comes to you, say, the inner Christ opens doors. Recognize that the infinite intelligence within you arranged that opportunity. When you give, whether it's money, or time, or service, say, the inner Christ multiplies what flows through me. You're not diminished by giving. You're setting energy in motion, and it returns multiplied. When you receive, say, thank you, inner Christ, for this and more. Gratitude opens the channel for more to flow. Let's talk about the circulation principle. This is important. Money is energy. Energy must circulate. If you hold it tight, if you hoard it, if you're afraid to spend it, or give it, it stops flowing. It's like a river. A river that flows is fresh and alive. A pond that doesn't flow becomes stagnant. Your supply is the same. Let it flow. Give freely, knowing that as you give, you're making space for more to come in. This doesn't mean be reckless. It doesn't mean spend foolishly, or give to everyone who asks. The inner Christ gives you wisdom and discernment. But it does mean trust the flow. When you're guided to give, give. When you're guided to invest in something, invest. When you're guided to spend on something that brings you joy, or serves your purpose, spend. Don't let fear make you stingy. Stinginess chokes off the supply. The inner Christ prospers you not just for your own sake, but so you can be a blessing to others. When you have abundance, you can give generously. You can support causes you believe in. You can help people in need. You can live without constant stress and fear. You can focus on your purpose, instead of just survival. That's why abundance is spiritual. It frees you to be who you're meant to be and do what you're meant to do. So, change your consciousness about money. Stop seeing it as scarce, hard to get, or evil. Start seeing it as energy, as flow, as one of the ways the inner Christ expresses abundance in your life. Say every day, I am an outlet for infinite supply. Everything I need is provided. I prosper and I am prospered. I give freely and I receive abundantly. As you maintain that consciousness, as you trust the inner Christ as your source, watch what happens. Opportunities will appear. Money will flow from expected and unexpected sources. You'll be taken care of in ways that amaze you. But provision without peace is empty wealth. You can have all the money in the world and still be miserable if you don't have peace. So let's talk about the inner Christ as your peace and your guide. In a world of chaos, you can be an island of peace. Not by escaping the world, not by avoiding problems, but by anchoring yourself in the presence within. Peace isn't the absence of trouble. Peace is the presence of the inner Christ in the midst of trouble. Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives." He was talking about inner peace, the peace that comes from knowing you're not alone, that infinite intelligence is within you, that no matter what happens on the outside, there's a stillness, a calm, a knowing on the inside. That peace is available right now. Not after your problems are solved. Now. In any moment of turmoil, in any situation of stress or fear or confusion, you can access it. How? By turning within. By saying, "Be still, and know." By recognizing the inner Christ as the still point in your turning world. You don't achieve peace through effort. You don't create peace through struggle. You surrender to it. You allow it. In the midst of whatever is happening, you pause. You close your eyes for just a moment. You take a breath. And you say, "Inner Christ, be my peace now." And you feel it. That presence. That stillness. That calm beneath the storm. It's always there. Always accessible. You just have to remember to turn to it. The inner Christ is also your guidance. You're never without direction. You're never truly lost. The infinite intelligence within you knows the way. It sees the bigger picture. It knows the next step, even when you don't. But it won't force itself on you. It waits for you to ask, to listen, to trust. How do you receive guidance from the inner Christ? You ask clearly. Don't be vague. Don't say, "God, help me." Say specifically, "Inner Christ, what should I do about this job offer? Should I move to this city? Is this relationship right for me? How do I handle this situation with my child?" Ask clearly, specifically, directly. Then, and this is crucial, release the question. Don't strangle it with worry. Don't keep turning it over and over in your mind. You've asked. Now trust that the answer is coming. Let it go, and go about your day. Watch for the answer. It will come, but maybe not in the way you expect. Maybe it's an idea that pops into your head while you're in the shower. Maybe it's something someone says to you in passing. Maybe it's a book that falls off a shelf or an article you randomly come across. Maybe it's an opportunity that opens or a door that closes. The inner Christ speaks through all these channels. Pay attention. The first impression is usually correct. When you ask for guidance and an answer comes, trust it, don't second guess it. Don't think, "Is that really God or just my own thoughts?" If it brings peace, if it feels right in your gut, if it aligns with love and wisdom, it's guidance. Trust it. Sometimes guidance seems unclear. You ask and you don't get an immediate answer. What then? Move forward anyway. The inner Christ guides in motion. It's like driving at night. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole journey that way. Take the next step you can see. The inner Christ will illuminate the next step after that. Also, closed doors are guidance too. If you try something, and it doesn't work out, that's information. That's the inner Christ saying, "Not this way. This way." Don't see closed doors as failure. See them as redirection. Trust the process even when you can't see the outcome. Living in guidance becomes a way of life. You develop the habit of checking in. Before you make a decision, you pause and say, "Inner Christ, is this right?" And you feel the answer. Peace or unease. Openness or resistance. That's your guidance system. Peace confirms. Unease redirects. Learn to trust that inner knowing, and you'll never make a major mistake again. With the inner Christ as your peace and guide, you're never lost. You're never overwhelmed. You are never truly alone. In every moment, in every situation, there's a presence within you that knows, that guides, that comforts, that directs. Turn to it. Trust it. Follow it. Now let me share with you the biggest truth of all. The ultimate realization. Everything I've taught you builds to this one magnificent, life-changing recognition. You are the Christ. Not just you have the Christ within. Not just you can contact the Christ. You are the Christ. The inner Christ isn't in you. You are it. Before you think I'm being blasphemous, let me explain. Christ isn't a person. Christ is consciousness awakened. It's the Anointed One. The word Christ comes from the Greek Christos, which means anointed. Anointed with what? With the awareness of divinity. With the recognition of oneness with God. Christ is your true nature. When you recognize it, Jesus was called the Christ, because he knew who he was. He knew he was one with the Father. He knew that the power of God flowed through him. And here's what most people miss. He wanted everyone to know the same thing about themselves. He said, "Greater works than these shall you do." He said, "The kingdom of God is within you." He said, "I and the Father are one." And when people challenged him, he said, "Is it not written in your law, you are gods?" He was trying to wake people up to their true identity. Not to worship him, but to become what he became, awakened consciousness. That's the Christ. This is not ego. The ego is the false self that thinks it's separate, limited, alone. The ego says, "I'm just a body. I'm just a person. I have to struggle and fight and compete and protect myself." That's the ego. The recognition of Christ consciousness is the exact opposite. It's the recognition that you're not separate. You're not limited. You're not just a body. You're an expression of infinite intelligence. You're an outlet for divine power. You're God individualized. This doesn't mean you are God in totality. The wave is not the entire ocean. But the wave is made of the same substance as the ocean. The wave has all the qualities of the ocean. In the same way, you're not all of God, but you're made of the same substance. You have all the qualities of God available to you. That's what it means to be the Christ. To recognize your divine nature. Every time you say "I am," you invoke creative power. The name of God revealed to Moses was "I am, that I am." The "I am" is the creative principle. It's the power that brings things into being. And you use that power every day, whether you know it or not. When you say, "I am sick," you create sickness. When you say, "I am poor," you create poverty. When you say, "I am afraid," you create fear. But when you say, "I am healthy," "I am abundant," "I am loved," "I am guided," "I am at peace," you create those things. The "I am" is the inner Christ speaking. Every "I am" declaration is a creative act. That's why you must be so careful what follows those two words. Choose consciously. Don't say, "I am weak." Say, "I am strong in the inner Christ." Don't say, "I am confused." Say, "I am guided by infinite wisdom." Don't say, "I am stuck." Say, "I am moving forward in faith." Your "I am" declarations shape your reality. Living as the Christ doesn't mean perfection. It means recognition. You'll still have challenges. You'll still make mistakes. You'll still have days when you forget and fall back into old patterns. That's being human. But underneath it all, there's a knowing. There's a recognition. I am more than this body. I am more than these circumstances. I am the Christ in expression. And that changes how you face everything. When a problem arises, instead of thinking, "Poor me, what will I do?" you think, "The Christ in me handles this." When illness appears, instead of fearing it, you recognize, "The Christ in me is perfect health." When lack threatens, instead of panicking, you know, "The Christ in me is infinite supply." You stop identifying as the victim and start identifying as the victor. Not through arrogance, but through recognition of who you really are. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." The truth is you are the Christ. You are divine consciousness, in human form. You are an expression of infinite intelligence. You have within you right now all the power, all the wisdom, all the love, all the creativity of the universe itself. That's not pride. That's truth. And when you know it, really know it, you're free. Free from fear. Free from limitation. Free from the belief that you're small and powerless. Your daily practice should reinforce this. Every morning, when you wake up, before your feet hit the floor, say, I am the Christ in expression. Feel it. Know it. Let it set the tone for your day. Throughout the day, when you face situations, remind yourself, the Christ in me handles this. Not I hope God will help me. Not I wonder what to do. The Christ in me already knows. The Christ in me has the power to handle this. In the evening before sleep, say, the Christ in me restores and renews. All is well. Over time, this recognition moves from affirmation to realization. At first, you're reminding yourself, trying to convince yourself, but gradually, it becomes your actual knowing. It becomes who you know yourself to be. And when that happens, my friend, your life transforms in ways you cannot imagine. You stop being tossed around by circumstances. You become the master of your experience, not through control, but through recognition of the power within you. You are the Christ. That's the ultimate truth. That's the recognition that changes everything. Not Jesus the historical man. You, now, the Christ principle, expressing through your unique personality, your unique life, your unique circumstances. Accept it, claim it, live it. Now, all of this knowledge is beautiful. But knowledge without practice is like a seed never planted. It might have the potential to grow into something magnificent, but it never will unless it's put in the ground. So let me give you simple, powerful practices you can start today. These aren't complicated rituals. They're not difficult. But they're based on the most powerful principle in the universe. Use them daily, and watch your life transform. First, the morning communion. This is the most important practice. Do it first thing in the morning before you check your phone, before you start your to-do list, before the world intrudes on your consciousness. Sit quietly, feet flat on the floor. Hands relaxed in your lap. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Just let your body relax. Then say, either aloud or silently, good morning, inner Christ. Thank you for this new day. Spend 2 or 3 minutes simply acknowledging the presence within you. Don't try to feel anything special. Just recognize it's there. Then say, inner Christ, guide my thoughts, words, and actions today. Express through me as health, abundance, love, and wisdom. Feel it as real, not hoping it will happen, knowing it is happening. Then open your eyes and begin your day. This takes 5 minutes, but it sets your consciousness. It establishes your identity. It creates momentum that carries through the entire day. The second practice is the problem-solving prayer. Use this whenever you face a problem, a challenge, a decision you don't know how to make. State the problem clearly in your mind. Then say, inner Christ, I don't know the answer, but you do. I turn this over to you. Visualize yourself literally handing the problem to the infinite intelligence within you, like setting down a heavy bag. Then let it go. Don't keep picking it back up with worry. Expect the answer. Trust it's coming. Watch over the next hours and days for guidance through ideas, through people, through circumstances. When the solution appears, and it will, recognize, the inner Christ solved this through me. This practice removes the burden from your limited conscious mind and allows infinite intelligence to work. The third practice is the healing treatment. Use this for any physical condition or for emotional healing. Lie down or sit comfortably. Relax completely. Tension blocks healing. Place your hand on the area that needs healing, or on your heart for emotional healing. Say, inner Christ, I acknowledge you as the only power in this body. There is no power in this condition, only in you. Feel healing energy, the presence, flowing through your hand. Don't visualize the healing process. Visualize perfection already present. Say, this body is the temple of the inner Christ. and the inner Christ expresses only perfection. I accept my healing now. Give thanks as though you're already healed. Then release it, and go about your day. Do this once or twice daily. Not obsessively, that shows doubt. With feeling, not just words. With acceptance, not desperation. The inner Christ will respond. The fourth practice is the abundance realization. Do this daily, especially when you're feeling lack or financial pressure. Sit quietly. Close your eyes. Say, the inner Christ is my infinite supply. There is no lack in God, therefore no lack in me. Feel abundance, not as future hope, but as present reality. Don't visualize specific amounts of money. Visualize or feel yourself with needs met, bills paid, able to give generously. Say, money flows to me easily from expected and unexpected sources. The inner Christ prospers me now. Give thanks for specific blessings you already have. That confirms the consciousness of abundance. Open yourself to receiving. Say yes to opportunities. That confirms the consciousness of abundance. Throughout the day, before spending money say, the inner Christ multiplies this. Before receiving money say, thank you inner Christ, for this supply. When you see someone prosperous, say, the inner Christ blesses us both. And never, never say I can't afford it. Say, I choose not to buy that right now, or, how can I afford it? That keeps the consciousness open. The fifth practice is the evening review and surrender. Do this before sleep, lying in your bed. Review your day, not with judgment, but with awareness. For anything you did well, for any way the inner Christ expressed through you, say, thank you, inner Christ. For anything you regret, any mistake or failure, say, inner Christ, I release this. Tomorrow is new. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. Let it all go. Then say, inner Christ, restore and renew me as I sleep. Work in my subconscious tonight to bring solutions, healing, and guidance. Hand tomorrow to the inner Christ. Say, I trust you with tomorrow. Your presence goes before me. Then sleep in peace. Your subconscious never sleeps. The inner Christ works through it while you rest. Many people wake with solutions they didn't have the night before. This is why. You've given permission for the work to happen. The sixth and final practice is the I am declaration practice. Use this anytime you notice negative self-talk, or do it as a regular daily practice. Stand or sit with dignity. Posture affects consciousness. Say aloud with feeling, I am the Christ in expression. I am health. I am abundance. I am love. I am wisdom. I am peace. I am power. Feel each statement in your body. Add specific declarations. I am healed. I am prosperous. I am guided. Say them with authority, not asking, claiming. Not I will be, I am. Present tense. Creative power. And avoid, absolutely avoid, negative I am statements. Never say, I am sick, I am broke, I am stupid. Stop yourself mid-sentence if you catch it. Replace with I am healing, I am prospering, I am learning. Your I am declarations literally shape your reality. Use them consciously. These 6 practices are simple. But don't let simplicity fool you. They're based on the most powerful principle in the universe. The creative power of consciousness aligned with infinite intelligence. Use them daily. Not as superstition, not as ritual, but as conscious cooperation with the inner Christ. They work. They will change your life. I promise you that. So here we are, my dear friend. We've come to the end of our time together, but really, this is your beginning. Let me summarize what you now know, really know, if you've heard me with your heart. Inside you, right now, there is a presence more powerful than any circumstance, any disease, any limitation. The ancients called it the Christ within. Not a religious figure, but a living principle. Infinite intelligence individualized as you. This presence is not something you have to earn, reach for, or become worthy of. It's already there. Has always been there. Waiting only for your recognition. You've learned that this inner Christ heals, not sometimes, not for special people, but for anyone who recognizes its presence and allows it to flow. You've learned that it creates, bringing into form, whatever you hold in consciousness, with feeling and faith. You've learned that it guides, provides, and brings peace, not after your troubles are over, but right in the midst of them. And most important of all, you've learned that you are not separate from this presence. You don't just have the Christ within. In your truest nature, you are the Christ. Consciousness awakened, life expressing, God individualized. Now I want you to do something for me. Right now, place your hand on your heart. Feel it beating. That rhythm, that's the inner Christ, keeping you alive. You didn't make your heart beat this morning. You didn't think about it. The infinite intelligence within you is doing it right now, this moment, without any effort from you. If the inner Christ can run your heart, heal your cuts, grow your hair, all without your conscious effort, imagine what it can do in your life when you consciously cooperate with it, when you acknowledge it, when you speak to it, when you trust it. So here's my final word to you. Stop struggling alone. Stop trying to figure everything out with your limited conscious mind. Stop begging some distant God who may or may not be listening. Instead, every single day, morning and night, commune with the inner Christ, your own infinite intelligence, your own divine nature. Say these words with me now, out loud if you can. Inner Christ, I acknowledge you now as the only power in my life. I recognize you as my healer, my provider, my guide, and my peace. I am not separate from you. I am you in expression. Thank you for expressing through me as perfect health, abundant supply, loving relationships, and divine guidance. I trust you completely. And so it is. Feel that? That's not just words. That's creative power speaking through you. That's the inner Christ activated in your consciousness. My friend, your life will never be the same. Not because of me. I'm just a fellow traveler who learned these principles before you. But because you've discovered what you really are. And once you know, you can't unknow it. The Christ in you has awakened. Let it express. Let it create. Let it heal. Let it be what it came to be. Now, if this message has touched you, if something in you recognized truth when you heard it, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel, because I have so much more to share with you. Hit that like button if this resonated in your soul. And here's what I really want. Leave a comment below and tell me about your experience. Tell me what happened when you tried these practices. Tell me about your communion with the inner Christ. Your testimony might be the very thing someone else needs to hear to begin their own transformation. Remember, you are never alone. The presence that created the universe lives in you, as you. Go now, and let the inner Christ be the Christ. Blessings to you, my dear friend. Until we meet again.